Okay, we're going to try problem number 1. Okay, so this is an exponents problem. So A says 7w to the 9th power, and that's raised to the cube power. And then we have 7w to the cube power. Okay, so that's like saying 7w to the 9th times 7w to the 9th times 7w to the 9th. That is 7w to the 9th to the 3rd power. And then times 7w times 7w times 7w. That's how I would do it. I would just go ahead and write it out that many times. And now I can see I have 9 w's, 9 more w's, 9 more w's. That's 27, 28, 29, 30. So I have 30 w's. And then I would use my calculator to see 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the 6th power, or you could multiply that out, and you will get 117,649. And then you'll have w to the 30th power. So that is your answer for A. Now for B, there are many ways to do these problems. Remember, these are not the only ways. These are just the ways that I do them. Makes sense to me. Okay, for this one, I probably would take the power to the power first and go ahead and clean that up. So whenever you have a power raised to a power, you're going to multiply those two. So 3 times 6 is 18. And then negative 2 times 4 is going to be negative 8. And the bottom one is going to be 9 times 5 is 45. Sorry. Okay. All right, so far so good. And now I always, myself, I don't like to deal with negatives. So I probably would take this and move him down here. So he would become x to the 8th. And then I would strike him because he's been moved. Okay? So I have 18 eighths on the top. And I have 45 plus 8. So what is that, 53 on the bottom, okay? And then last but not least, you can either write them out, you think of this and strike them, or you can say, wait, we know that this is the quotient rule, so it's going to be x to the 18 minus 53. So that is going to be, what is that on your calculator? X to the negative 35. Or you could put it with positive exponents as 1 over x to the 35. Problem number 2 is scientific notation. We know that scientific notation is a number between 1 and 10 times 10 raised to an exponent. Okay? So let's look at our first one. It says write each number in scientific notation. So we have 70240. If there is not a decimal, you're going to add what always is at the end on the right. Okay? So we want to move this decimal so that our number is between 1 and 10. Okay, so if I moved it here, that'd be 7,024. Here would be 702.4. Here would be 70.2. Here would be 7.024. Well, 7.024 is between 1 and 10. So that's the number I'm going to want to put in my front blank. Okay? Now, let's look at our original number. Oh, let's see. We're going to say, first of all, how many places do we move the decimal? So I'm going to start here at the decimal. I don't count until I go to the next place. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Another way you can count is how many little waves did you make? So 4. Okay? 4 is the exponent, so it's the number of places you move the decimal. Now, people get confused whether it's going to be negative or positive. I'm going to encourage you, don't memorize something. Instead, say to yourself, when you started with this number, you had this. Is that a big number or a small number? Well, that's a big number, right? So since it's a big number, you're going to always want it to be positive. If it's a small number, you're going to want it to be negative. So we leave it as a positive 4, not a negative 4. Okay, so let me say that again. If you have a big number, you're going to use a positive exponent. If you have a tiny number, you're going to use a negative exponent. So our answer would be 7.024 times 10 to the 4th. But you have to be careful on these problems because it says round to 3 decimals. So be careful and make sure that your number is rounded to 3 decimals. Well, in this case, this will be rounded to 3 decimals just because that's all they gave us. Try part B. So this already has a decimal in it, and I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 3 zeros behind the decimal, and then 9654. Okay, so this is a small number, right? And so I know before I do anything, I can put a negative here in the exponent. Small numbers have a negative exponent. Okay, now I'm going to move the decimal so that I have a number between 1 and 10. Okay, so if I stop there, I'm still tiny. It'd be 0.009654. If I stopped here, it'd be 0.9654. But if I bring my decimal right here and put it right there, then I have 9.654. Right? Now that number is between 1 and 10. And then I count the number of waves, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's my answer. Problem number 3, convert each number to decimal form. Okay, so the first one is given to us in scientific notation. So I can use my calculator. That's probably the easiest thing to do, is just to use my calculator. Now, it says that we're going to use decimal form. So when I say decimal form, I mean not scientific notation. So decimal form would be like 2.3698 or 12.52 or 363.454. Those are all decimal notation, whereas scientific number notation is always something times 10 to the something. So they don't want it in scientific notation. They want it just as a plain old number. Okay? Well, then use your calculator. What do you have it there for? Let's get it out and try it. Okay, so I have my calculator out. Do you have yours? So I'm going to put in 4.0 times 10 raised to the negative second power. Make sure you use the negative on the bottom row, okay? And then use your arrow key to tab over so it goes down, times 4.0 times 10 raised to the 6th power. And then I'm going to hit enter, and it says 160,000. That's my answer. Let's look at part B now. So I'm going to clear. So I'm going to put in, now part B is tricky. For part B, you want to make sure that you enter in the numerator with a parentheses around it, like this. Okay? And then go ahead and enter the denominator with a parentheses around it, like this. You don't see it, but you're going to want to do that, especially if you have an older calculator. So here we go. So I'm going to say parentheses 5.0 times 10 raised to the negative 4. Use the arrow key to tab over, and then divided by, notice those parentheses, so critical. Use the parentheses in the denominator too. 1 times 10 to the negative 8. And then hit enter. Ta-da! And your answer looks like it's 50,000. That's it. That's an easy problem. Don't miss that one. And that is decimal form. Okay? Now, problem number 4. This is 2 terms divided by 1 term. Okay, so I would write it out of horizontally, from horizontally to vertically. Like that. Okay, so I have 1 term in the denominator, right? 1 term. So we're not going to do long division. We're just going to go ahead and divide each term by that denominator. And now I just have 2 little exponent problems. Well, 44 divided by 11, that's clearly negative 4 there. And then if I have 4 w's in the top and 2 w's in the denominator, it's going to be w squared. And this is going to be a positive because I have a minus times a negative, 3. And I'll have one W left because I have 3 on the top and 1 at the bottom. So this is my answer.